Hey Zoomy, how are you? Yeah, not too bad, More. What's going on? Nothing much, just hanging here, waiting to be used. Yeah, I know what you mean. Me too. He'll get around to us. Hey, what are you doing here? Yeah, what are you doing here? Isn't this Max Cushion land? Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, that's what I am, a Max Cushion running shoe. Yeah? What kind are you? I'm responsive. I'm comfortable. I'm a bit of both. What? So you already know what this video is going to be about. These are my initial impressions / progressive thoughts on the Running Cloudstratus. Let's get into it. One thing that annoys me about running shoes is their naming convention. I don't have an issue with the names that they give their running shoes, but I've got an issue with them not updating the names to their running shoes when they release a newer model. When I was looking to purchase a pair of the Cloudstratus, I found some that were cheaper than others. It took me a second to figure out that the cheaper versions were actually the first version of the Cloudstratus, and the ones that were a little bit more expensive, or a lot more expensive, depends on how you look at it, were the newer version of the Cloudstratus. As soon as you bring up pictures of the two models, you do notice that they are different, but it was just a lot of effort to go through to buy a pair of shoes. I just think it would be so much better if they would label their shoes V1, V2, like New Balance do, or even just give them a name like Nike do for the Pegasus or the Infinity React or the React Miler. Anyway, with that rant out of the way, I'm really keen to give my first impressions on a brand that I have been eyeing off for a long time but have never actually bought any of their shoes. I feel like On Running have made a product that look really good, especially with their Cloud Tech midsoles, but what I've found is that opinions on the shoes are divided. They are all definitely different, whether you're talking about the Cloud X, the Cloud Boom, and etc. But when I saw the Cloudstratus's double stacked midsole setup, I just couldn't resist anymore, and I really had to pick up a pair to see what they were like to run in. And what are they like? Well, a bit of a spoiler alert, they are actually a treat to run in. I didn't actually expect to like them as much as I have, but stay tuned to figure out why I like them and who I think these shoes would be ideal for. I'll get into some detailed thoughts about my experiences in running in the Cloudstratus, but first we'll take a look at some specs. And the Cloudstratus is a neutral max cushioned running shoe with an engineered mesh upper. The engineered mesh upper is made of something like 70% recycled materials. There is a double stacked Cloud Tech midsole using the Helium foam, 36mm stack in the heel, 28mm in the forefoot, which I haven't measured myself, but gives us an 8mm drop. The On Running website says that it's a 6mm drop, but running in it, it definitely feels more like an 8mm drop. The shoe runs true to size and really comfortably so, and comes in at 10.7 ounces or 305 grams in a US men's size 9. If you're interested, my US men's 13 comes in at 358 grams. And if you're curious to see how the shoe compares against the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3, in my US men's 13, that comes in at 361 grams. And the ZommX Invincible clocks in at 354 grams, making the ZommX Invincible the lightest max cushion running shoe of those three. One of the things I think I was most worried about with the On Running shoes was just how the compound would feel underfoot. I have read some reviews that have definitely suggested the Helium foam to be a firmer, more stiffer compound, and so I was a little bit worried about that. But I guess I was also interested to see how the Helium compound double stacked would fare in a max cushion running shoe. And I've got to say, taking these things out of the box and lacing up for the first time, it was Comfort Plus. I really like the way the Cloudstratus fit on foot. The engineered mesh upper is actually super lightweight and feels great on foot. There's ventilation in all the right spots, and there's a decent amount of padding around the heel and tongue without being overdone. I think that's one feature that we tend to find in some max cushion running shoes that gets a little bit overdone. I get that there's a focus on comfort, but sometimes too much padding is too much padding. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that you kind of pass a threshold where any more padding than this, let's say, kind of doesn't give you any more comfort, but just adds weight. Anyway, so I think they've nailed the upper, they've nailed the fit. Walking around and running around in the shoe, you're able to get a really good lockdown, and it just feels great. Like, I don't know what else to say. Good job. Another feature that is visible from the outsole of the On Running Cloudstratus and other On Running shoes is this speed board. The speed board is described as a liquid injected piece of polymer that sits between the midsole and the upper. I guess it's meant to work in the way that some other plates do and give a level of propulsion. I'm not 100% sure what it's meant to do, but what I do know is how the Cloudstratus feels to run in. And how does it feel to run in? Well, surprisingly, for starters, it's actually not that soft, but I don't want that to be a negative. It's actually still a really comfortable shoe to run in that is well cushioned. It's not as soft as what I've found the Fresh Foam More V3 or the ZommX Invincible to be, but it is more well cushioned than some other low stack running shoes like a New Balance Fresh Foam Beacon V3 or something like that. One of the most interesting feelings running in the Cloudstratus was the sense of propulsion that I got. I felt it to be more responsive than even the ZommX Invincible, and I think in large part it's got to do with the way the midsole's set up and this taper towards the front end of the shoe. I don't know if it is the speed board doing anything, but what certainly feels like is happening is I'm getting a really cushioned heel strike and then able to finish that cycle off with a nice push or something. I don't know what it is, off the toe box. I don't really know the terminology. I'm not a natural born runner, but I do run a fair bit. I think the Cloudstratus is an excellent running shoe. In fact, it's probably a contender for one of my favorite shoes so far this year. The upper is extremely comfortable. I think they've struck a really good balance between comfort while not being excessively heavy. One of the questions that you might have if you are considering a max cushion running shoe is, what does it do differently than other max cushion running shoe options? And if I can use the More V3 and the ZommX Invincible as points of comparison, I would say that the More V3 is an all-out comfort shoe. I don't think it is an overly responsive shoe. The ZommX Invincible, like the Cloudstratus, is a max cushion running shoe that is responsive, but it depends what kind of feeling you want underfoot. If you are happy with a slightly firmer compound that I think wants you to go a little bit faster, the Cloudstratus is the better choice. If you are after a more softer, squishy feeling underfoot, then that's when I would go the ZommX Invincible. The other thing to consider here is also cost. I think shoes like the More V3 and ZommX Invincible are generally more discounted, where the Cloudstratus is still on the pricey side, $260 here in Australia. They're my thoughts on the shoe itself. I hope it's helped make a decision or inform you at least on what the shoe's like. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But until the next video, laters.